Chapter 8 is called The Bakery Sit-In. It was 10 minutes before the school bell was due to ring, and Cosima and Chris were waiting by the boiler room door like they had said they would be. As he and Trevor approached, David held the bag containing the uniform proudly above his head to show that the mission had been a success. "Good work, guys," said Cosima, giving them both a little smile. "I take it everything went according to plan?" "Almost," said David. "I got recognised and had to leave in a bit of a hurry. I've got to say I'm not sure about going back later for a refund. They'll be looking out for me for sure." Trevor didn't look too pleased with the thought of saying goodbye to his savings. Chris, on the other hand, didn't seem to be paying much attention to anything at all. His solemn expression was quite different to the beaming grin that seemed to be an almost permanent feature on his face. "Chris, are you okay?" David asked. "Something really seems to be bothering you. Anything I can do to help?" "It's Brutus," sighed Chris. "He's gone seriously downhill since our meeting the other day. Mum and Dad had to rush him to the vets last night. They can't work out what's wrong with him. He's barely moving and can hardly breathe. It's not looking good." "I'm really sorry to hear that," David said. "I hope they get to the bottom of it soon and he makes a quick recovery, poor thing." Cosima attempted to give Chris a brief, sympathetic look before drawing things back to the matter in hand. "We need to be clear that everybody knows what's happening at lunchtime," she said. "Remember, ask your teachers if you can use the toilet exactly 8 minutes before the lunchtime bell goes. We'll all be in different classes, so it shouldn't raise suspicions. We get to the shops as quickly as possible to beat the crowds. You will each have your blazer and tie with you. Put them on as you approach. We will gather at noon on the dot outside Chris's mum and dad's shop. Are we all clear?" "Yes," they all replied. "Good. Now get your blazer and tie from David and let's head to our classes." Once the uniforms were distributed, they all started walking to registration. As 4 children turned the corner of the boiler room building, though, they bumped into Becky O'Hara and 3 of her mean-looking mates. "Would you look at this, girls?" she smirked, stepping towards them. "The year group's biggest losers have all found each other. Isn't it beautiful? And what were you all doing round there? Playing spin the bottle?" She made an exaggerated kissing face to the delight of her friends. "Back off and leave us alone," said Cosima, storming past. David, Trevor and Chris all followed behind. "Oh, well now, that's just rude," said Becky, pretending to be offended. "Speaking to people like that might be okay back in whatever country you're actually from, but here we have different rules." Cosima kept walking. She knew that Becky was just trying to provoke her and didn't want to dignify her words with a response. "That was racism. We can't let her get away with that," said David when they were a safe distance away. "It's ignorance, that's what it is," said Cosima. "And right now we've got bigger fish to fry. Stay focused on the task in hand, everyone. I'll see you all at 12. The project's members followed Cosima's instructions perfectly. They left their classes early and moved with speed towards the shops. They all arrived outside the butcher's together, wearing the Drumhall uniforms David had bought that morning. Cosima was the first girl David had ever seen wearing the blazer and tie. She carried the look off with an effortless cool, completely unbothered about what she was wearing or what other people might think. "Let's do this," Cosima said. "Brisket, you go first. Snoop and Arthur, you follow. I need to go last. If Miss Fleck sees a girl in the Drumhall uniform, it'll give the game away too quick. Go!" Chris pushed open the bakery door. A bell sounded overhead, alerting Miss Fleck to the presence of customers. She lifted her head up from the issue of Puzzle Compodium she was currently working through and gave an irritated sigh at having been interrupted. She perched her pink reading glasses above her hair and put down her ballpoint pen before stepping off her stool and walking towards the counter. She didn't speak, instead raising her eyebrows and staring expectantly at the children waiting for their order. From her position by the shop's door, Cosima shouted, "Now!" Facing towards the counter, all 4 children sat down cross-legged on the checkered linoleum floor, not saying a single word, with gazes fixed on the baker. "What is the meaning of this?" screamed Miss Fleck, wide-eyed with fury. The children gave no response. They merely continued to stare. Outside the bakery, the first lunch customers started to gather, a small group of boys from Drumhall. They tried to open the shop door, but Kazima was blocking it. One of the boys tapped the shop window to get Miss Fleck's attention. "Girl, I don't know who you are or how you got that uniform, but you must stand up at once. My customers need to be served." 10 minutes went by. The children continued to sit in silence. Two huge queues were now formed outside the shop. The Elmswood children, who were used to waiting anyway, found the whole thing hilarious. The Drumhall boys, on the other hand, were not impressed. Many of them had started chanting, "Open up, open up," and the ones at the front were shaking the door with fury. Kazima, who had been enduring the door banging against her left knee for the past 5 minutes, was now wincing with pain. Still, she refused to be moved and soldiered on for the good of the cause. Miss Fleck, of course, was livid. She was in the middle of a situation of which she had no control. An angry mob shouting outside, and 4 children who had taken over her shop refusing to move. It was time for her to take more serious action. "Children," Miss Fleck yelled, "if you do not leave my shop this instant, I shall be phoning the police. They will, I'm sure, agree that I will be due compensation for the loss of trade your little stunt has cost me." David began to squirm. There had been enough fights about money at his home ever since Dad lost his job at the firm. If they had to pay out cash just because their son and his friends decided to take a stand against a local business, he would never hear the end of it. Miss Fleck had lifted the receiver and begun to dial the number for the police station when she was interrupted by a loud knock on the door. A middle-aged man with thinning hair and glasses was trying to get in. But rather than trying to get the attention of Miss Fleck, he was instead trying to appeal to the children. "Dad!" yelled Trevor, leaping to his feet and seemingly forgetting his role in the protest. To David's surprise, Kazima too seemed happy to see Trevor's dad and moved aside to enable Trevor to open the door for him. "I got a great photo of the queues outside the shop," Mr. Hargreaves said to his son. "It would be great to get a few words from you all about why you are doing this so I can get some quotes for my article." "We have taken control of this shop to protest against the unfair treatment of Elmswood High pupils," Kazima stated. "Miss Fleck deems it acceptable for us to wait in long queues outside her shop whilst the children from Drumhall get to go straight inside. We have had enough." Kazima lowered her voice to a whisper. "Remember, don't print our real names, Mr. Hargreaves. You can call me Shikra." The colour had completely drained from Miss Fleck's cheeks. She stared blankly ahead, as if in a daze. "And Miss Fleck, would you care to comment on these allegations, and if there will be any changes moving forward?" Mr. Hargreaves asked. Miss Fleck, slowly regaining her senses, turned to face the reporter and told him exactly what she thought about the day's events. Regrettably, the Elmswood Echo is not allowed to print swear words, so none of Miss Fleck's thoughts actually made it to copy. Okay, that's the end of that chapter. I will be back very soon with chapter 9. Thank you. Bye.